On this episode of That One Movie Podcast, Holden, we are going to review Exorcist Believer.
Yes.
Boy, hard to remember the title of this movie. That's fine. We'll dive into it. We'll start off spoiler-free for that review. Then we'll dive into spoilers. We'll warn you, of course, before we do that. Beforehand, before we do that. There we go. That's the words I was trying to say. We're also going to do spoiler discussions for Loki Season 2, Episode 2, which is Breaking Brad. All right, like the
Clever
show.
pun.
There
Yeah,
you go.
get it?
You got it. Like the show Breaking Bad. As well as Gen V Episode 5, which is Welcome to the Monster Club. Beforehand, though, we are going to talk about some of the news from this week in the world of entertainment. Wow, words coming out of my... There's a lot of words. There we go.
Some of the things we'll talk about are the trailers for Wonka, Invincible, and Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Also talk about how apparently the Daredevil show is rebooting development, and also about Martin Scorsese's next movie.
Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah, I guess.
There we go. As always, use the time codes down in the description to jump to whatever topic interests you the most. Otherwise, just stick around for the ride. Holden, this is going to be a long podcast if this is how I'm going. Otherwise, I'm Jimmy Youthy.
I'm Holden Sutter.
And it's time for Tom.
Tom. That One Movie Podcast.
Tom.
Jimmy, before we talk The Exorcist, let's do the Toms.
Let's do the Toms.
The Toms. Toms is the rapid fire segment in which we rate the news of the week in the world of entertainment on a scale of three famous Toms: Brokaw, Bombadil, and Bergeron. Brokaw's the highest, Bombadil's the lowest, and Bergeron somewhere in between.
You know, I was supposed to wait, but honestly,
it didn't work too bad.
That was not that bad.
Yeah.
For the
I did slow down for you
signs.
because I noticed you were putting them up.
Yeah,
so.
It's been a rough start for the podcast for me. Let's just get on with it. Holy smokes.
Yeah, let's start with
we're not used to recording on a Tuesday.
Yeah, this is a bit later than what we usually do, especially during the school year for you, Jimmy.
Yeah, maybe this is my it's my SpongeBob shirt that I got at the Dollar Tree for $5, and it's very comfortable. And I like the graphic.
SpongeBob shirt. All right.
We were at the dollar store, and I was like, that's kind of legit.
It's not bad.
It's very comfy. It feels quality. It feels very quality. $5 for this thing.
Want to trade shirts right now?
No.
Okay.
You got a nice shirt too, though. Snarky Puppy.
Yeah, Snarky Puppy. I've had this for like 5-6 years. I like it a lot. Anyway, first trailer. We'll talk about Wonka, Jimmy.
Yeah.
The Willy Wonka movie. We talked about the first trailer before. Timothée Chalamet, directed by Paul King, I believe the director's name is. He did the Paddington movies. What do you think of this trailer?
Yeah, Paul King, if that's how you pronounce it.
I can't remember if that's. I think that's his name.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like 90% sure. But
I think, boy, this movie could just be all over the place. I could see this movie being an absolute dud. Well, first off, this movie's going to bomb. I think no matter what, I think this movie is just bombing. I've seen people have negative visceral reactions to the original trailer in the theater, and I don't know if this trailer necessarily pushes the needle at all. I think it makes me less excited for this movie, honestly. However, there is a whimsical nature to this, and the Paddington movies are very highly regarded. I have not seen them personally, but holy smokes, there's so much CGI in this movie. It's incredible. I don't know, like, part of me thinks that this is gonna be a good movie, just one that people don't see. But part of me also thinks that this is just gonna be a mess, and it looks expensive. I want it to be good because it looks like it could be a story with a lot of heart. It seems like his mom, there's a relationship there. I kind of like the silly nature of like the candy,
the
big
cartel,
big
chocolate
candy
cartel, I think they call
them.
them.
The chocolate cartel, big candy. Trying to crack down on this guy helping the poor. But I don't know. Some of the jokes where it's like, oh, the guy hurls every time they say poor. I'm like, that's not very funny to me. So I'm at a Bergeron for this one. I would love to see this movie be good. Just after this trailer, though, I'm a little bit more skeptical, and I think that this movie is going to lose money.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's probably going to bomb. However, I do think, as someone who has seen both Paddington movies, I think this trailer feels just right in line with how those movies are made. Like those movies have a ton of CG too, a lot of green screen, very whimsical. Maybe not always the most convincing CG, but I think it kind of is almost stylized to a point to just make it look sillier. It just kind of, to me, it feels like a Paddington movie, but Willy Wonka. So yeah. I'm kind of into it personally. I don't think this really moved the needle for me at all personally, but I was already kind of excited for it. So I think I'll just still give it a Brokaw.
All right.
Yeah.
You got a Bergeron and a Brokaw for our first trailer. Second trailer, Holden, is Invincible Season 2. Of course, Invincible is a fan favorite on Amazon Prime. A lot of parallels with The Boys for like the evil Superman.
Yeah, and just overall violence.
Large amount of violence. This is a very mature cartoon, animated show. Season 1, again, very highly regarded by a lot of people. And now we are Season 2. What were you going to add to that?
I was just going to say it gets a lot of comparisons with The Boys, but it is quite a bit different too, because it is a superhero show, like first and foremost, and like The Boys is a lot more like satirizing that kind of thing. And there is some of that in Invincible to an extent, but this is thoroughly just a superhero
It's
show.
more of a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, with a lot of blood.
A lot of blood. I don't like Invincible as much as other people do. This trailer doesn't really interest me, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I liked season 1, but to me, by far the most interesting part of season 1 was Omni-Man more than Invincible himself. And it does not look like Omni-Man is anywhere to be found. So
he is going to be in it to some extent, but my guess is just not very much.
That's where I'm like, I feel like this is kind of, I wouldn't like filler is a too hard of a word for it, but it's like, it's character development stuff for the Invincible character. I forget his name.
Yeah, I can't
remember his first name, but like the Invincible character, it's character building stuff on the way to the final confrontation with Omni-Man in like season 7 or whatever,
Well, from what I understand, the Invincible comic series, which from what I understand, more so than The Boys, this is going to be following a lot closer. It goes to a lot of different interesting places, and this part of the comics, he's like Omni-Man's just not in it that much, but I think like the next chunk he's in it a lot more or something.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure it even like the series even ends at like a Invincible versus Omni-Man. I don't know exactly where it goes,
not.
But
I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, it didn't like, you have like evil Invincible or whatever, who's either the shapeshifter guy they put in the first part, or it's more likely from a different universe. I kind of chuckled because that guy who's like, I can tap into all the multiverses or whatever. He just reminds me of Kang, kind of. It's
yeah,
like,
kind of.
a little bit, just a little bit like Kang. I understand that's not like Kang's superpower, but just like, I'm all of these places kind of at once. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Invincible. I'm not an Invincible hater at all. I enjoyed the first season, but it wasn't nearly as entertaining to me as The Boys was, and I think that's just a preference thing. I don't think there's anything bad about the quality. It's a great show. The performances are great. The writing's solid. Just not like my first choice of show to watch, if that makes sense. But we'll see if I watch this second season or not. So I'm gonna be at a Bergeron just for this trailer alone. Just because it didn't get me super excited for it. But maybe that's just an expectations thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, as someone, I don't really know exactly where like this season goes. I think I have some, I know some plot points that happen at some point later on down the line. So I don't know if that happens now or later or whatnot. But the trailer itself, I'm kind of with you to an extent. It's whatever. It doesn't really show anything that gets me too much more excited. I am more excited for it because I do really like Invincible. So the trailer's not really making it any worse.
He seems a lot more competent.
Yeah, he does.
Seems like he's dishing out a little bit more than receiving just a bunch of pain.
Yeah, which is funny as that is in the first season. It's cool to see him grow as a hero and everything. But yeah, I don't know. I'll probably give the trailer a Bergeron, although I am still excited for the series overall. The trailer just didn't do that much, I guess.
Bergeron's from both of us, Holden. So final trailer then is Monarch Legacy of Monsters. I think I actually preferred the teaser trailer to this one, but I think, which we didn't talk about on this podcast, but I think one of the things that just stands out to me is this show visually looks incredible for a TV show. It looks just as good as the movies do. And it looks better than a lot of just movies from like, you know, Marvel or something. It's like
The Flash.
Oh my gosh. It's like that clearly looks better. And this is just an Apple show that who knows how many people are going to watch it. I can't imagine this being all that popular. I mean, I could be surprised, but
people are coming around on Apple to an extent. I think people just like how it seems more curated and whatever. I've never really watched too much on Apple, but I might watch this.
You know,
still.
but if it's like Severance, and then if you can get this, people like, you know, what is it, the morning show or something?
Morning show. Yeah,
people are starting to like it. They're getting some of those, you know, they're getting Killers of the Flower Moons coming on there.
Ted Lasso was on there.
Ted Lasso, of course. Ted Lasso's on there. I'm like, there's some other big stuff.
One.
The one that I've watched.
Yeah.
But, you know, now that their catalog's starting to grow and people like these things, Apple TV Plus might be coming for you, HBO.
Certainly pricing wise.
Oh, my goodness.
Way better than pretty much every other service.
Yeah, especially with Disney Plus increasing prices like again. Holy smokes. They've like over doubled their price since it started, which is insane. That's a whole conversation for another thing. Monarch Legacy of Monsters or whatever this is called. I think it looks all right. My interest has been piqued, which if you would have told me there's a Godzilla spinoff show, I would not given a flying flippity flop about that, Holden.
Okay.
To put that, to use my aggressive language there.
Yeah, very aggressive.
So from that standpoint, I guess a Brokaw, just because, you know, good on them for creating something that seems mainly human focused that I actually like. That kind of looks interesting, actually.
Mainly human focused. The monster stuff still does look pretty good, like as you said, visually. I'm still, you know, interested in the whole concept of there being kind of two timelines that you're following, played by Kurt Russell and his son. So I think that's kind of cool. And then we see Godzilla in the trailer and looks great. So
that shower is like going up his back. Pretty cool. And I'm always impressed by like the CGI like of his throat.
When he roars. It's so good.
That's my Godzilla.
That's a very good Godzilla. Iconic.
I think I should just cut in the actual sound effect there. It's also my impersonation of a turkey getting slaughtered for Thanksgiving.
And as we all know, those two things sound the same.
Well, that's the sound effect they use.
Oh, yeah. I think it looks cool. I'm interested in kind of this mystery with this organization that's kind of been in the background of these Godzilla movies. So John Goodman was in the trailer. I don't know if that's just footage from Kong Skull Island or if there's actually going to be a flashback.
I don't remember.
Yeah, he was in that, but
yeah.
I don't know. I'll give it a Brokaw though. Sure.
Awesome. 2 Brokaws from us. Imagine that.
Yeah.
All right, Holden. What's our next story on the docket?
Okay, so the next 2 ones actually kind of go hand in hand, but Marvel is going to be changing how it does its TV shows.
Wow. Disney Plus changing up its originals. Imagine that.
Yeah, who would have thought after the, you know, the large disinterest in like Secret Invasion and whatever. But anyway, the things that I wrote down here that I was looking at several articles talking about these. I'm like, how did they not have these before? But so apparently now these TV shows are actually going to have showrunners.
Good idea.
So that's something. That's probably good to have. The showrunners are actually going to be shooting pilots for these shows and write out show Bibles when these pilots are made. So
okay, so like actually plan out the show.
Yeah, actually,
good idea.
The way a TV show is made, and they're apparently going to be looking more at serialized TV with more potential for multiple seasons, similar to like Loki.
Yeah, I feel like that's just really hard to do in the MCU.
I kind of agree. That's the one I'm more mixed on because I understand why they do what they're doing with like the miniseries format because you have so many heroes that you want to introduce and you want to do different things with them. And I feel like just introducing a bunch of new heroes and having ongoing series is going to be a lot. At the same time, though, I feel like it could make those characters more interesting within those shows if you give them more time to develop. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. Loki, I think overall is the best show of the bunch, and it is the one that has multiple seasons. So
yeah, I think Loki could have just worked as a miniseries.
It could have, yeah, certainly.
And also we haven't seen all of season 2, so
yeah,
who
true.
knows? I don't know how to feel about this. I don't know. Like there isn't like a Marvel show anymore that I can't tell you a future Marvel show that I'm excited for.
I've got Daredevil, but that's it.
Yeah, I maybe would be excited for Daredevil, but if I had seen it, but I'm just like, I don't feel the need for any of them at this point. And I don't know what you do because they haven't really gotten me invested in any of the new characters. That is not just going to have their own movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really care about the side characters enough to have their own show unless the show is something very unique and different like Loki is.
Yeah.
And to an extent, WandaVision was very unique and different. But then when you have like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Gosh, I cannot remember the title of that series to save my life. That is just not unique enough to be a show to like get me interested, and neither was like the idea of Secret Invasion was kind of cool. Execution just wasn't there for that. I don't know. Like you said, they didn't have they did not have pilots. They didn't have like a plan to extend the show or whatever. I feel like Marvel. I mean, this is from the outside perspective and very speculative, but it seems very likely that this is the case. They came and approached this and like, oh, well, here's this IP. Let's make a show about it. Instead of like, oh, here's an idea for a story. Yeah. Is this a story worth making a show about?
Absolutely.
And I think that more than anything, have a good story. Like, I don't care what you do, have a good story. If that is a mini series, if that is seasons long, if you have a good story and compelling characters, it's going to work. Wow. Imagine that. That is the insight you come to this podcast for. No one could have told you that. Good characters, good stories going to make a good show.
Well, and most of these series have also just been like shot like 6-hour movies and just chopped up into chunks. Like that's the pacing they have for the most part.
Well, all the Disney Plus shows at this point.
That's
almost.
true.
Outside of Andor, there's other good stuff. But I mean, that just an oversimplification of it. But it is like, how many Disney Plus shows have we seen at this point where it's like, why is it paced like this? So why is this not?
It's just a movie stretched out.
Yeah,
yeah. That is pretty much what it is. So if they're changing it up to be more like actual TV shows in that regard, I'm excited. I'm kind of with you where I don't know how I feel about, all these, side characters or whatever. I assume they're going to like, aside from the stuff they've already shot and like mostly completed, I get the sense that they're just going to be like changing things up. Like the previously announced stuff that hasn't been made yet might just not happen. Yeah. Unless they actually have something.
Again, yeah. Make a good show.
Yeah.
I honestly I don't need 8 upcoming shows or even like 3 upcoming shows in a year or whatever to tie me over. It's not like people aren't going to lose interest in the MCU because something doesn't come out. People are going to lose interest in the MCU because mediocre schlop keeps coming out.
People aren't going to be sad that Ironheart isn't coming out.
Yeah, like I mean, it's just like
Man.
I just like that's not. It's I don't know. That's not selling your subscription, I think.
Yeah.
But again, from the outside looking in, definitely just like outsider. So that would be my take on it. And maybe I'm completely wrong.
I think I'm at a Brokaw in terms of just kind of changing up how they do things overall.
Doing something that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes. Brokaw. Having a plan for a show that you make, not making bad shows.
Yes.
I am all in favor of not making bad TV shows.
So kind of going along with that, Daredevil, the Daredevil Born Again series for Disney Plus is largely rebooting their development. Apparently, so several episodes prior to the strikes had been shot, but they're now scrapping a lot of it. Maybe not all of it. Maybe there'll be certain scenes they keep or whatever. But apparently, like the one of the big reasons they thought it didn't work was because they saw too much of the legal procedural side of things and not enough action and violence. That's what they said. Apparently,
what's like the ratio in the Netflix show?
I'd say it's probably like 2/3 like legal / Matt Murdock life stuff, 1/3 action, which I think works really well for that show. Apparently with what was shot, he doesn't even get into his he doesn't even like do anything like action or like get in his costume until like the 4th episode, which to be fair, in the original series, he technically doesn't get his costume until the very last episode of the 1st season. But I mean, he has like a makeshift costume before then he uses. I don't know. Personally, when I see it like written out as like too much of the legal procedural stuff, I'm like, well, I don't know. That could be interesting.
Yeah. I just imagine, all right, we need more action. And they just cut to the courtroom. All rise. And the judge just comes out and he just runs over and punches him in the stomach. Oh, jeez. I object, Your Honor. Blah. Overruled. Overruled. Yeah. It's Kingpin. He just like takes off a mask. He's just clearly a different sized person.
Different guy. That'd be pretty good. Yeah, personally, I mean, if they're making it closer to how the Netflix series does it, I think they had the perfect balance. So in that regard, I would be happy. But if they're just trying to make it more action for the sake of more action, I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know, Holden. Disney Plus action scenes are always impeccably
Fantastic,
well done.
yeah.
You know what? I'm at a Bergeron.
Yeah, I'm at a
because,
Bergeron.
you know, self-reflection is good. Looking back at a show and saying, does this work? Does this not work? Good idea. Mm-hmm. Good idea to do that. Take your time and do that and reevaluate that. The conclusion they came to, we need more action. I don't know. Haven't seen it, so we'll see.
I did see that, like, I mean, granted, he, is an actor in the show, but Vincent D'Onofrio, who plays Kingpin, like, he was answering, like, some people were, like, harassing him on Twitter about, like, oh, does this mean it's going to be bad or whatever? And he's like, nah, like, this is the right move. So
there we go.
Next up, Jimmy, Miramax has purchased the rights to the Halloween franchise.
Oh boy.
And is apparently developing a Halloween TV series and possibly looking at a Halloween cinematic universe.
A Halloween cinematic universe?
Yeah,
so beyond Michael Myers, Season of the Witch?
Include Season of the Witch. And
what else is there?
Literally nothing else. I guess they'd make more. I guess I feel like on the podcast we sometimes come up with ideas that are way better than what will actually happen. If for this TV series they go with like the original John Carpenter vision of it being like an anthology thing, I think that could be cool. I don't think that's what they're gonna do, but that's what he wanted to do with the movie series.
But why would you need to buy Halloween then?
Yeah,
you could
just do something else.
You could just do that. Unless you got it Halloween, because Season of the Witch, everybody loved it when it came out,
Yeah.
and everybody's like,
I actually do like Season of the Witch.
I've never seen it, but
yeah, no one liked it when it came out.
I don't know, Mike. I mean, what I would love to see. Okay, what is your plan to do with Michael Myers? Mm-hmm. Like, what are you gonna do with him?
He's just a guy.
I think you need to you either have to come up with some really creative way to make him relevant again, to do something completely different with Michael Myers, or have some very interesting, like somehow social commentary weaved into this, or like some elevated horror Halloween. Which, how are you going to do that? I have no idea.
Michael Myers
Don't
in the
ask
multiverse.
Me. Or just steer completely in the other direction. Just stupid, over the top, nonsensical Michael Myers, just
I'd be into
100% gore fest, silly natured killing spree fun. that is what Halloween, in my opinion, should be. But I'm not a Halloween stan, so not a huge fan of the franchise. Although Halloween Ends is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Really, it
is.
That's
is
hilarious.
Halloween Ends not one of the worst movies you've ever seen?
I'm not sure.
It's like you had one job.
Like it is really bad. I'm not sure if I would make that bold claim. Personally,
I shouldn't say that. I should say Halloween Ends is one of the worst theatrical experiences I've ever had in my life.
I could probably get behind that.
You had one job. Yeah. Don't get me started again. I don't even like the franchise that much, and I'm offended by it. I don't care. Bergeron. I don't know.
I'm giving
more Halloween.
I don't want more Halloween.
You don't? It could be really fun. Like all you need.
It could be. I'm not sure I have faith in
Halloween 2018 when he steps on that guy's face and it smushes in like a pumpkin. Is that not hilarious?
Funny. That was very funny. There was the one cool part where he goes in all the houses in that movie. Yeah, there were like 2 cool parts in that movie that I think carried the whole trilogy.
Yeah.
And then I'll give it a Bergeron.
I remember that one in the last one where he's hardly in it, and then it's just Corey. That movie
I do remember that character's
stinks.
name because of how much I hated it.
Golly. Oh my gosh. Don't get me started. Don't get me started, Holden. Next story.
Won't get you started.
I'm seething.
All right. Apparently there's an Ocean's 11 prequel in the works.
Ocean's 10. Have they made an Ocean's 10?
They made an Ocean's 8.
Yeah.
I don't think they made an Ocean's 10. I'll finish this before I talk. But it's going to apparently starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, the Barbie duo, back at it. It's going to be set in 1962 in Monte Carlo. And it's going to be both a heist and a love story.
Oh.
Now, obviously, with casting, I quite enjoy this.
Color me interested.
Yeah, same. But I do have to wonder why does it have to be an Ocean's 11 prequel?
I don't care.
Name recognition, I guess.
I don't care. I am a Ryan Gosling fanboy. He's the greatest actor who ever lived.
And we like Margot Robbie too.
Margot Robbie's great.
Yeah. And they were good. They were great in Barbie together. So this will be kind of cool. And Ocean's 11, I haven't seen it in a long time, but it always has kind of a little comedic edge to it. So I think Ryan Gosling is, great for that.
Well, he's an amazing all-around actor.
He is, but he's very funny. So very excited to see him in movies that he's funny in.
Yes.
So
very good.
Yeah, Brokaw. Kick-Ass is being rebooted. Jimmy, you ever watch Kick-Ass?
I have not seen it.
Okay. The first one I've seen, and I remember enjoying it. I've heard the second one isn't very good. I don't know. But director Matthew Vaughn says that they are going to be filming a reboot next year, assuming the strike is over in time. He describes it as a reboot, but also mentions that it won't have the same characters and that he'd like to bring those characters from the original back in the future. So it doesn't really...
It's a soft reboot, the requel or whatever.
I guess, yeah. But this is kind of just an addition. He also confirmed, and this is all at New York Comic Con, that he is making Kingsman 3 and the Kingsman 2, which is going to be about the rise of Hitler. Which, okay, Jimmy.
They finally did it.
Yeah, so they
finally went with Hitler.
So, spoiler for the end of the Kingsman 1. It has maybe one of the funniest post-credit scenes in like any movie I've ever seen.
You know what? I kind of want to see The Kingsman. Yeah. I regret not seeing it. It's on Max, right? Is it on Max? I need to watch
it. Or Hulu or something.
I feel like that one I could actually enjoy because it seems like it just leaned into it.
It did lean into it quite a bit. But the end of that movie, there's like a villainous organization in this movie. I can't remember. But they literally are like, they're talking to, I think it's Lenin. He's like, someone's talking to Lenin at this organization. It's like, we've got this young up and comer. Look, his name is, introduce yourself. He's like, my name is Adolf Hitler or something like that. It was so stupid. It was kind of funny. We'll see how that, that's color me interested how they'll do that with any sort of comedic edge.
I don't know anything about the other movies. I've never seen Kick-Ass, so I will go with Brokaw just because I think the Hitler movie's hilarious.
Yeah, that is a very funny concept. I'll give Bergeron to the Kick-Ass stuff. Give a Brokaw to that.
There we
The
go.
Rise of Hitler. I'm pretty sure the name is like The Rise of Hitler. Or
The
something
Rise
like
of
that.
Hitler.
Or that's what he said it was. So we'll see.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Is that movie actually being made? There's no way.
I don't.
Right? That is hilarious. I mean, they made Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah, we'll see.
Hilarious to me.
I just want it to be like a very tone deaf movie. That'd be very funny. Martin Scorsese's next movie. I feel like we've maybe mentioned
the dude
the name.
is still kicking.
He's still
Holy
kicking.
smokes.
I feel like we've mentioned the title before, but I'm not sure if we've gotten into what it's about. So he confirmed that his next movie is going to be called The Wager. It's starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Who would have guessed? But it's apparently based on the book The Wager, a tale of shipwreck, mutiny, and murder, which itself is based on real events of the HMS Wager, a ship that wrecked on an island in 1741 off the coast of what is now Chile, involving a mutiny of sorts.
Is this also by the same actor or same writer of Killers of the Flower Moon? I wonder.
It might be.
Because I think I saw the cover of this book at Barnes & Noble once, and it caught my eye because it was the same author, and it is. It's David Grann, who wrote Killers of the Flower Moon. Mm-hmm. So apparently a match made in heaven. Apparently. But I saw the book cover, and I'm like, oh, that sounds like a really interesting story, which David Grann also did Lost City of Z, which is apparently also a very good movie. Now, that's not Scorsese. Yeah. I don't know who directed that. But I will definitely give that a Brokaw because apparently Killers of the Flower Moon's amazing. We'll review it next week on the podcast.
Very excited, yeah.
So yeah, I'm all for it.
And then Jimmy, last bit of news I have. Did you ever watch Gargoyles?
No, I did not watch Gargoyles.
Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen them on buildings, yeah.
Oh, yeah, nice. So the kind of cult 90s Disney animated series is getting a live-action adaptation for Disney Plus. That's going to be produced by James Wan and written and showrun by Gary Dauberman, who wrote all 3 Annabelle movies and both It movies.
I think this is a bad idea.
Yeah, it seems
something that
weird.
people liked from the past, making it in live action.
I'll give it a Bergeron because
look, Bergeron's more. I just from that description, I'm very skeptical.
Yeah,
always rooting for it to be good though. Especially for the people who like it and have a lot of nostalgia for it, which I'm not included in.
Yeah,
where's my live action SpongeBob Nickelodeon?
I watched Gargoyles with my dad when I was younger. I don't really remember much about it, but I remember liking it. So
we already got the live action SpongeBob.
That's true.
Thing.
Yeah,
never did see that Keanu Reeves SpongeBob movie.
Either. Wonder if it's any good.
One can only wonder.
But that's it for news this week, Jimmy.
All right, then let's dive into Loki episode 2, Breaking Bread. This is going to be a spoiler discussion, so if you have not watched Loki season 2, episode 2, skip on to the next segment of the podcast or whatever you want to listen to, and use those time codes down in the description to do that.
Yes.
All right, we're starting with that spoiler discussion right after this.
All right, Jimmy. Loki episode 2, Breaking Bread.
That title hurts me, Holden. I don't like it.
Why don't you like it?
It doesn't have anything to do with like Breaking Bad, though.
I mean, yeah. I don't know.
I don't like it.
But the episode.
I can't wait for the Daredevil episode to be called Better Call Paul.
Yeah, but like they're breaking. They are breaking
Brad, but it doesn't have anything to do with Breaking Bad at all.
I don't know. I don't mind it.
I just think it's.
I think it would be worse if like it literally, like the name literally didn't do anything with this episode. I think since they are doing that, it's whatever. It's just a little tongue-in-cheek reference.
It is. It's unnecessary.
TV shows do this all the time. Why does this one make you mad?
I don't know, Holden. I'm on edge today. It's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah. What do you think of this episode?
I thought it was all right. Mm-hmm. I thought it was not as it was. I don't know. It felt like, and maybe this is just because I didn't rewatch the first season, but people's motivations to me, I wasn't really sure why people were doing things exactly. Like I had an idea of why things were happening, but I wasn't. It's like, okay, so Loki, they're going through time because they're trying to find Sylvie, but then they find the guy and find Brad Wolf or whatever his hunter name is.
Yeah.
And he is this actor guy, and they're like, oh, well, we need to chase him now because apparently he'll probably know where Sylvie is. Because apparently they just found Sylvie. Because then we end last episode with them going to look for Sylvie.
Yeah.
And so then they chase him, but then he's running away, and he just has this life in this other universe where he's this actor. And then they're like, you got to tell us where Sylvie is or whatever. And then we have this whole interrogation thing. And I was like, why? Okay, why exactly do we need to find Sylvie? Okay, we need to know what happened at the end of, because Loki wasn't there when she killed him.
No, because he got like.
So does he not know that Kang is dead?
He guesses that he's dead.
Okay, because that's what they were fighting over.
Yeah,
right?
they were fighting.
And again, maybe this is cleared up by me rewatching the first season. So it's like, okay, he's got to find Sylvie, and Sylvie showed up at the end of that episode, and then there was the post-credit scene in the first episode where Sylvie is working at the McDonald's. Okay, why does Sylvie want to work at the McDonald's? Is it explained in the first season that she just wants to have like a normal life? I forget.
No, but I just took it as like, since she like accomplished her task that she's been doing her whole life, like it's just her settling down.
She's like, boy, there's nothing more that I want to do in my life than work at a McDonald's.
Yeah, which that we can talk about the egregious McDonald's stuff in this episode.
So yeah, I don't know. I thought the interrogation stuff was pretty hokey to me. I just like Brad's doing like the, oh, you're not gonna crack me or whatever, and then they just torture him. And then Loki literally just tortures him, and it is weird for me to watch. It's like this Loki seems like a completely different character. And kind of is, right? Because he had like his memory wiped and then he watched everything.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. I really should have rewatched that first season is where I'm at now.
He is. I think he's consistent with season 1 Loki.
He is. He's like, consistent with the first season one, but just like not the actual like MCU Loki.
Yeah.
Like I like this character a lot. I'm enjoying him. But it is weird for him to be like, oh, Mobius, you seem to have lost yourself. One time I lost myself and I killed a bunch of people in New York City. And
I like that conversation between the two. I think it's very fun because I mean, it's almost kind of a role reversal there where Mobius is the one who kind of loses his cool and then Loki kind of talks him through it and everything. I like that. I do think that aspect of it is weird though, because it is kind of unclear how much time has passed, which they kind of make fun of in season 1 a bit. But yeah, it doesn't, between the start of season 1 and now, it doesn't seem like enough time for him to have that level of self-awareness.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like this Loki better.
Yeah.
So
same.
I'm not necessarily complaining. It is just kind of weird to think about that. And I guess his memory was, I don't know. Anywho, I just thought, I don't know. It didn't fully it didn't fully work for me, and it wasn't necessarily bad or anything. I just thought it just was like, okay, it's an interrogation scene, and he says he's not going to crack, and they're like, oh, we're going to do all this mischievous stuff, and I'm going to put you in the little box thing, and the guy doesn't crack, and then he just does.
Yeah,
I don't know. It didn't feel all that clever to me.
I don't know. I thought it worked.
They're like, oh, how can we break him? How about we torture him? Good idea. Like they didn't like cleverly manipulate him at all. They literally just tortured him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, why didn't you just? And I don't know. Like Loki's like, oh, I am a bad guy or whatever. I'm like, he's like, he's playing it up, and then you do like, he's like not actually going to do it. But here's my thing. He's like, he calls his bluff every step of the way. Brad does. And then he like doesn't actually call his bluff when it matters.
Yeah. I think why it works well, it works okay for me is because Brad is more put in like immediate danger in that last one. And so like, yes, we know that Mobius probably wouldn't have let Loki actually kill him, Loki might not have actually killed him or anything in that tiny little box. But I think they had a conversation where, you know, they talked about how they should kind of merge like tactics of, you know, what old Loki might have used to do and whatever. And so I think it was just entirely like, you know, just to get him scared and everything. And I don't know. It worked all right for me.
I'm going to come across way too harsh. I don't know what's up with me today. I'm super harsh today. The other thing, okay, very small nitpick here, but like Mobius trying to be like, oh, Loki, I can't get in. I'm sorry, Brad, I can't get in. I'm like, dude, you're on the outside of the door, like of a prison cell. What do you mean you're locked from the outside of the prison cell and you can't go in? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I can't remember. Did Loki put a spell on it or anything?
Well, he like clasped this thing on the inside. Okay, yeah. But I'm like, why would there be a thing of like, wouldn't that be on the other side of the door? Mm. Maybe I missed him putting a spell on it or something.
Yeah, you could be right.
The other thing that, and I'm usually not one of these people, and I'm willing to overlook this, but Loki just uses a bunch of powers in this episode. I'm like, what? Is there no magic in the TVA? Again, is this something I forgot about in the first season? Because he just doesn't use that in any other situation.
I actually think there might not be any magic in the TVA.
Is it like there's no apparating within Hogwarts or something?
Yeah.
You know, like
I can't remember. I'm trying to think if there's an example that contradicts that.
Because he uses just a ton of magic in this episode. I'm like, well, where was all of this season one? And that might be like, again, different creative team and stuff. And look, that's not like this is completely ruins the show and I can't watch this.
I'm not entirely. Yeah, I think there's either no magic in the TVA or I think if nothing else, I'm not sure a lot of the spells he uses would have come in. I think there's a few times where like his spells are kind of counteracted in a way that like you're supposed to kind of figure out that they wouldn't be very useful against the TVA or anything in the first season. So I don't know. The fact that he just uses it when he's not at the TVA against those grunts and whatever, it's whatever. It's fine. Yeah. I don't mind it.
Look, I like this show though. Like the twist that they are blowing up all those other timelines. Pretty neat.
Yeah. I mean, it made their drastic consequences because they do just prune almost all of them.
Yeah, well, so Doc's the antagonist or whatever, seemingly, who is Liza Aaron from Game of Thrones. She just has a higher kill count than anybody at this point, right? She's like Thanos, step aside. Everybody else, step aside.
Literally just trillions of people.
Have we really heard her give her manifesto? Like she talks a little bit in the first episode, right? About like we need to do this and that.
But I was under the impression based on what she said in the first episode, it was just them trying. Like they either don't believe Mobius or Loki, or they still feel that like the sacred timeline is the best way to go because it had worked for so long.
And that's where I feel like I needed more with her before she just goes out and kills billions of people. Like I want to know like why she's. Like more, not just like, okay, literally, okay, here's why she's doing it, but like I want to feel that from her a little bit. And I don't think I really felt that from her character. And she's hardly in this episode when she just murders all these people too.
Yeah.
But it is touching when they're looking at the screens and they're like, that's people or whatever she says.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't have quite the beats that hit for me. Not because it was necessarily bad or anything. I don't think that's the case at all. It just was like, I think there could have been more leading up to this stuff. So it would have landed a little bit harder than it did. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. We have the Brad Wolf thing. I just thought it just would, I don't know. It was just literally like an interrogation scene that could have been from anything. And I just wasn't really buying. I just didn't really buy it. Like I just was like, this is not a thing that happens, or like this is not. It just felt like a kind of sillier cartoon than a story grounded in this universe. And I don't know if that was the performance of the guy playing Brad Wolf or what, but it was like, it's the good cop, bad cop, and I don't buy what you're saying, and then all of a sudden I do, and I'm like, I don't know. It was lacking to me. It felt very generic, that part. And it stood out to me because the rest of the show is so unique and interesting along the way. I didn't think it was bad. Didn't
think it was Brad.
Didn't think it was Brad. There we go.
I'm on board with the. I think the beginning of the episode is kind of clunky because it is a little weird that like they go after Brad because they think they know that he knows where Sylvie is, and it's kind of unclear how much time has passed between the end of the last episode and this episode. So I can get on board with that. For me though, the interrogation stuff I thought worked fine. It was I like seeing Mobius and Loki work together, and I think it worked. Kind of see them grow and use their different kind of methods kind of coming together. I don't know. Yeah, worked for me.
I did like Mobius being like, man, I don't want to know what my life was like, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's scary and all that. And I thought that was cool. And like the whole idea of like your life was robbed from you and all this stuff. Mobius is just clearly going to go back, I think, to his actual life at the end of this. And they're going to have to say goodbye to each other, which is going to be sad. So that is nice. Mobius and Loki just have such great chemistry.
They do.
It is incredible. Mobius is like one of my favorite MCU characters. Owen Wilson's so good in that role.
It's going to be really sad if he does leave at the end of the season.
Yeah, I just love their dynamic so much, and I think they just carry the show. But there is a lot of the supporting stuff is great too. Just the TVA itself, the score is just continues to be phenomenal. And I think the overall aesthetic is very interesting as well. So as harsh as I am kind of on this episode, it's better than anything that was in Ahsoka, in my opinion, or more interesting.
I agree with that.
Which is, I guess that was bad to just compare things like that. I don't know why I'm just being so negative on stuff.
Negative Nelly
today. I won't be so negative. What else do I like about this?
Sylvie's back.
Sylvie's back. She's likes working at McDonald's. She said that she's no longer working at McDonald's because everybody died.
Yeah.
Everybody died. Let's see. Anything else? Brad. Okay. Do you think Brad... So they think that Brad ran into Sylvie when he's supposed to hunt her down because Sylvie is a threat to their operation. I mean, she's the one who caused it all, I guess. Yeah. So they're trying to hunt her down for that. And then they think that he ran into her and then she promised him this life on the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does he know all the timelines are going to be destroyed then? Wouldn't his timeline also be destroyed?
That's true.
That's where I was like, what exactly is happening here? Unless that is the sacred timeline version and Brad Wolfe was this really famous actor. How do they choose who goes into the TVA? All that stuff. Maybe they will dive into that. That would be interesting.
They might dive into that. That's an interesting question they haven't really explored.
And 2 episodes in, we still haven't seen Kang. So
true. And then you have what's his name? Ke Huy Quan.
Yeah, Obi. Ouroboros. I enjoyed the one guy kind of geeking out over Obi.
Oh yeah, that was very fun. You wrote the handbook.
Yeah, I practically have it memorized. I don't have it like memorized, but
that's very good.
Owen Wilson's great. This key lime pie is magnificent.
Yeah, so it seems like now they need to find Miss Minutes to like help repair the thingy.
Okay, refresh for me. What happened to what's the Renslayer?
So at the end of the last season, she finds out that she's a variant, but she doesn't really care. She tries to keep the sacred timeline going, and then she like leaves in the last episode after kind of beating up Owen Wilson and says something like, I'm going to find some answers or something.
Okay.
So she just leaves through one of the little portal things.
And they found her. Now they like beep beep beep.
Yeah,
we've located Renslayer.
The thingy.
They got the thingy.
Tempad. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. All right. I think that's all I got to say about this one. Again, I thought it was fine. It just, some things didn't quite work for me, and maybe they'll work better the rest of the season.
It's not as good as the first episode, but I still liked it. So
there we go.
Excited for more.
All right. We'll have our next review out next week for the next episode.
Yes.
Gen V, episode 5. Welcome to the Monster Show, something like that.
Welcome to Club Monster.
Monster
Club.
Welcome to the Monster Club. All right, spoiler discussion starting right after this.
All right, Gen V, episode 5. Right?
5. Welcome to the Monster Club.
Monster Club.
Welcome to the jungle.
We got fun and games.
Holden, this is a shorter episode, but
Yeah, it's only like 40 minutes.
certainly has a lot to it. A lot going on here. I mean, first off, they wake up and what just happened?
Yeah, because at the end of the last episode, it just kind of cut to them waking up. I thought that was very fun. And then
How did we get here?
Yeah, they were essentially at like a rager at their college, or they're like passed out. They party all night. Mm-hmm. They wake up. They kind of find video evidence of like what happened, and they're just like, "What the heck? Don't remember any of this."
Yeah, Jordan and Marie seemingly hooked up, which
Yeah.
is like, oh wow, and they're like, it's like, oh, like we did this, but neither of us remembers it, and that makes it really awkward. 'Cause then it's like, how did you consent to any of this, and is this a thing, and like, are we a duo, or all that stuff is going on, and then they're trying to figure out what's happened here. Why don't we remember anything? The several days are missing. Sam shows up. And they don't remember Sam, and that's not good. I feel so bad for Sam because it's like, Emma. She's like, I don't know you. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
I felt that one. I felt that one for you, man. So I'm glad that kind of gets resolved, because it is always hard when you have like the memory wipe in a show. So I'm glad they kind of resolve a lot of it here. But so they're trying to figure out, okay, what happened, what's going on, and they think it's
Big Cricket.
Yeah, Big Cricket. I like how they were like, hey, yeah, it's you. You're Emma, Big Cricket.
You're crazy last night.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, yeah.
Nice.
So, she can go big. And they think it's, what's his name? I forgot the guy's name. Rufus. That's who it is.
Rufus.
All right. They think Rufus is the one doing it because they kind of established him in the episode prior, not being a great person, being a complete scumbag. Which is cool, but then Emma finds the little sweatshirt of the arcade or whatever it is.
Yeah, arcade of some sort.
Something like that. And it's like, okay, maybe that Sam guy was telling the truth. I love this, like the mystery of this episode. It was like, what is happening? Like the Rufus part like didn't completely work for. I'm like, this seems too
seems too obvious. Well, and Kate tells everyone that like Rufus had like assaulted her. Like essentially,
that's a great point. I had forgotten that.
Which I guess we don't even know if that's a lie at this point. It very well could be. But yeah, that kind of leads them and kind of enforces their thought that it was Rufus.
Either way, it works great. Either way, she, because if she is telling the truth, that's heartbreaking and, even extra manipulative, and using that information that's so vulnerable to manipulate others. She would have to just feel horrible about herself for saying that truth. And then if it's wrong, then to say that sort of thing and lie about that is also the ramifications of that, or the implications of that is also very interesting. So before we go dive into the mystery, we have the whole scene with Sam as the puppets.
Yeah.
Which is just fantastic.
It's so much fun.
And I didn't realize it's actually not very long.
Yeah, no, it's just like a couple minutes probably
but
at most.
Just excellent. Just
great
incredible.
Gore. That's where all the gore is this episode. There's not a whole lot of actual gore, but with the puppet violence.
What a creative thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, just so funny.
Ripping people's arms off.
I love I have 2 daughters. I'm a single father with 2 daughters. Their name are just ripping this, and it's just like so more like the juxtaposition of just like Muppets and insane violence is hilarious, and the fact that it's just like what do you even call them, like sequins, or what would you call those the confetti that comes out of them.
Sequins, glitter stuff.
Yeah, that comes out of them is just hilarious. And I love they're like coming down. It's like, they're like kind of bouncing around.
Doing the Muppet
just
walk.
A Hall of Fame The Boys scene for me. It just really is. One of the standout moments. I mean, I kind of clued a little bit of it in the trailer, but it's so great in the context of the show too.
I've got to wonder
hilarious.
I doubt it is, but it would be funny if that was the Jim Henson company that did that. I was trying to see on their Wikipedia if it said what company did that, but I'm not seeing anything yet. I'm sure we'll learn.
Yeah, just exceptionally well done to the team that crafted that. And then to just end it back in the real world and just unrecognizable pieces of corpse lying around and pools of blood.
Apparently this episode's directed by a House of the Dragon alum.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Wikipedia's not telling me what episode of House of the Dragon, but one of them.
Interesting.
Claire Kilner.
Oh, yeah. That name is very, very familiar. I cannot remember which one she did, though. But yeah, definitely did House of the Dragon. But yeah, then we go back to the mystery of what is happening to Marie and company. Marie kind of has that itch that Emma's like, why are you itching there? She's like, just pulls out the tracker, goes to Kate, like, oh my gosh, we're being tracked. What's going on? And then you have the whole Kate twist, which I did not see coming. Until it's happening where she has the glove off, I was like, oh.
I was thinking at the end of the last episode, I was like, there has to be something else going on with Kate, because out of the main characters, she's the one that has like the least like actual like things going on.
Yeah,
really.
That's a good point.
So I was kind of like, there has to be, and then when like the start of this episode happened, I was like, and they were kind of figuring it out. I'm like, it could be, but I didn't really think about how the amnesia could be like applied to her. But yeah, it was still a good twist.
Like I didn't realize until she's like, oh, and then like the hand, and like I was realizing it as Marie was realizing it, which is always great when you and the character of a show realize something at the same time.
Yeah,
that just is like the epitome of like effective filmmaking, in my opinion. But then you have, how does she remember? Oh, because she goes to Jordan. Jordan's having this whole talk with not translucent.
Yeah.
The other invisible guy, who's a funny character in of himself. So Jordan's like, okay, I need to get this off my chest, because Marie was like, are we a thing? They were both having these conversations away from each other with people. And now that it's going to happen together, you're like, yes, Jordan's going to say it. They're going to be on good terms. And then Marie's memory's been wiped.
Marie doesn't remember that conversation.
She's like, what are you talking about? And then she's like, uh-oh. And then she realizes the thing in her
tracker.
Neck. Yeah. So then there we go. And then they're on to Kate. Who says it is Kate? Was it Sam who says it's Kate? Sam tells Emma that it's Kate. Right?
I think so, yeah.
And because he says that Kate made his brother, what's his name? Golden Boy or whatever.
Yeah, Golden Boy. Made Golden Boy forget about
Luke,
Sam.
I think it is.
Yeah, Luke. Made Luke forget about Sam, which is why Luke was then having those like visions, and was like trying to figure out, everything that had happened and whatnot. So, yeah.
So my thing was like, how long has Kate been doing this stuff?
Yeah.
Because clearly she actually regrets it, all this stuff. And how she just wants to protect everybody. And she's manipulated Andre as well, who goes to just take out Rufus.
Yeah.
But they get there in time to stop him. And Kate reveals everything. And he's just like, you're a monster. You're a monster. Yeah. You're an irredeemable monster. Oh, what took you so long? I was waiting for Kate to rip that out.
I do. I do like Rufus just running terrified this entire episode. He's just like...
I love the part where Andre's about to get him and then he just wakes up at like a burger joint or whatever. The Homelander meal.
That was very good.
Yeah, for whatever he says,
You're holding up the line.
Hey, man, you're kind of holding up the line here, man. Solid episode. I really enjoyed it. Didn't see the Kate twist coming. The puppet massacre Hall of Fame scene, like I said. Yeah, it was fun to get to the bottom of this mystery. And I just think this show has been terrific so far.
It has been. I've really liked it.
So there we go. No Debbie Downer this time.
No,
not with
I
Gen
don't think
V. Good job.
Yeah, there's not really anything negative to talk
Only
about.
3 episodes left.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're getting more than one season.
I don't know. It seems like it could be a contained story, but we'll see. Mm-hmm. So anything else to say about Gen V?
I don't think so. No.
Solid job, Gen V. Very proud of you. Continue the good work.
It was a much shorter discussion than Loki.
It was.
Because you weren't being so mean about
angry. I have less nice things to say. I don't know. Yeah. Let's go on and have a very pleasant discussion about The Exorcist Believer. We're going to start non-spoiler. So if you haven't seen it, you are good to go. You can listen to our comments, see if this is a movie that's going to be good for you to see in the theaters or if it's not, and we'll save you the price of the ticket. So check that out right after this.
All right. The Exorcist Believer.
Then I saw her face. Da, na, na, na. The Exorcist Believer. Na, na, na.
Yeah, this is the new Exorcist film directed by David Gordon Green, who directed the Halloween sequel trilogy. And this is the first of a trilogy, apparently.
We'll see.
Sort. We'll see.
So my understanding is Halloween 2018 to Halloween is this movie to The Exorcist.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the intent.
The reboot sequel.
Requel.
The requel.
That Scream made fun of.
Yes.
Scream 5. 5 Cream.
5 Cream. Here's our synopsis, Holden. When his daughter, Angela, and her friend Catherine show signs of demonic possession, it unleashes a chain of events that forces single father Victor Fielding to confront the nadir of evil. Wow, the nadir of evil. Nice.
Is it Nadir?
Is it Nadir?
I thought it was Nadir.
Well,
but maybe I could be wrong. It's not like I say it every day.
Let's you don't throw nadir around in your normal vernacular. Terrified and desperate, he seeks out Chris McNeil, the only person alive who's witnessed anything like it before. Nice. Is Chris McNeil in the first one?
Yes, she's the mom.
Okay. Wow. Was she pointless in this movie?
Yeah, Ellen Burstyn also. Yeah, she plays her in the first one.
So that it was where that comes in, and boy, was that just unnecessary. If that is the reason you're going to this movie, do not go to this movie.
Yeah,
please.
it's
my goodness.
This movie really does not need to be an Exorcist movie, like the brand The Exorcist, like in the slightest.
I don't. I haven't. This is the first one I've seen. I really wanted to see the original before we saw this. I just did not have time to do it.
That's fair.
So I have nothing to compare it to. Mm-hmm. Don't know like what is a reference, what's not. Existing characters versus what's not. What's a trope, what's not. I thought this movie was fine. I was not appalled by the quality of this movie. I was like, this is too long. Mm-hmm. I think we could have just like, oh my gosh, okay, let's get to it. Like I said, the requel parts of this were the worst parts, in my opinion. I was like, okay, this character is just clearly a character from the original, and wow, was that pointless?
And why is she here?
Not even pointless, but it was almost like I feel like just crapping on I'm like, this is like if I was a fan of the original, from the outside looking in, I do not think I would be excited about what happens in this movie to certain characters.
Yeah.
And they're not like incorporated enough to like do it justice. It's
strange.
Very strange.
It was, yeah. The legacy characters were in this a lot less. We can talk about it in spoilers more, but in a lot less than I was thinking they would be. I didn't like this movie. Look, Halloween Ends is worse. But I didn't care for this movie, and part of it is coming from someone who enjoys the original, but I also just think it's a very bland and uninspired ghost movie, like Exorcist movie, which is strange because like you have the original movie, which I don't want them to like copy the original, like that's lame, and a lot of requels do that. But I feel like this has no reason to be called The Exorcist because it shares like no DNA with it other than there's a possessed girl. Like it feels like whatever studio this is, I can't remember. They spent $400 million.
Blumhouse?
Oh yeah, Blumhouse. They spent $400 million to get the rights to The Exorcist, but like, why?
Yikes.
I don't really like. There's no style carryover.
It's not like there's like a specific character, right, that you need from The Exorcist to make this.
No, I mean you bring back the mom from the first as like, you know, an experienced person in this. That's fine, I guess. You could do that, but she has nothing to do in this movie. And there's like none of the movie's visual style carries over. The original movie has a lot larger focus on like the priests. That's like a whole like other plot is like the main priest is like having a crisis of faith and everything. And he's a very interesting character. The priests in this are like not characters at all. To me, it's just like, why are you calling it The Exorcist? And it doesn't make any sense to me. And it's just, I don't know.
To me, the best part of the movie was Leslie Odom Jr. I thought he gave a phenomenal performance.
Yeah,
I think he carries this movie. I thought the kids were pretty good. Otherwise, like you said, it just was like generic. The
makeup's pretty good on the girls towards the end.
Yeah, but even then, wasn't there CGI stuff?
For some of it, maybe like the eyes and stuff.
Not like necessarily the makeup, but just kind of stuff that goes on. I don't know. Nothing really surprised me about it.
It's a very like, you know what you're gonna get kind of movie. I feel like the most interesting part is like towards the beginning. Which maybe I won't talk about non-spoilers, but there's kind of a period of time where it is a bit more unique than what you might get in a normal kind of ghost movie. And there's a bit kind of a mystery of some sort. But that doesn't last that long. And I just feel like the rest of the movie, like if you've seen a movie like this, you kind of know just what's going to happen. And it becomes very silly at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Kind of to the detriment of it, I think. Not in a fun way.
I don't know. It was like as they end the movie, I was like, oh, that's how they're ending it. I mean, I guess kind of give them some benefit for actually like kind of committing to a decision that I didn't necessarily think they would make. I thought they would kind of weave their way out of a certain predicament that they just don't.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, they actually did that. Didn't necessarily expect that. It doesn't make me really like this movie anymore, but
yeah, that we'll talk about that certain decision because it on the surface, I think it's kind of daring, but it's also like, I don't know. Oh, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in spoilers. Feel free to listen to spoilers for this movie if you haven't seen it, I would say.
Yeah, if you really have no interest in seeing this movie, like I don't think there's really much, you know, you can spoil or anything. Like I don't think there's much to win you over.
But kind of going off what you said, I was less interested in this movie as it went on. I was more interested in this movie when not Exorcist stuff was happening, which is kind of funny because you would think it'd be the other way around. And I think the more like possession based it got, the less interesting it was, which you wouldn't expect.
Yeah. And I think, and just me comparing it to the original again, I think that it's another thing that it's a little weaker in is the first movie has such a strong focus. It's a very slow paced movie if you haven't seen the original, but has such a strong focus on like the characters outside of the possession and everything. And I still think it's like very interesting there. I think it's very well written. I think it ties very neatly into, you know, into the actual exorcism towards the end and everything. And it's not bad here or anything. Like it is still probably my favorite part of the movie too, but just not as solid as that original.
Yeah. The music I thought complemented it well, especially like when they got into the Exorcist theme. You did feel a little bit of momentum building.
The arrangements of the original theme are pretty good in this. Yeah.
Look, this movie's got a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. Is it that bad? I don't think so. I don't think it's that bad. I just think it's a very fine movie. I don't.
Yeah.
It's not like if you are a diehard horror fan, go out and see it. It's fine. If you are not, there's nothing to see here. I would say if you want to see an Exorcist movie, and this is coming from someone who hasn't seen one, I would say go see Talk to Me, because that's probably a better version of this. Like,
absolutely.
if you want to like possession and creepiness and unsettling, and Talk to Me, I think is far more unique and superior to this movie in pretty much every regard. And I would say that if that's the vibe you're going for, I would steer you to that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately for me, I'm really stuck on the fact that it's just like not unique at all. It doesn't really like. There's no reason for it to be called The Exorcist, and outside of, even if you look at it as just like a normal possession movie, which I think is kind of where you're at, I just think it's just like the most mediocre like haunt possession movie you can possibly find. Not as bad as Halloween Ends, as I said, but still not a fan.
I don't know. I was gonna get. Is there not just a Google pronunciation of the word nadir?
Watch it be nadir. There we go.
It looks like it's both.
Oh,
I was gonna grab my phone, but I don't have my phone near. I think it's both. Looks like it.
Nadir.
Oh, it is
well,
nadir.
you're just a fool.
Okay, my bad. I've been saying it wrongly because I'm pretty sure the 2 times in my life I've said it, I have.
Would you say that this is your nadir of the podcast, Olin?
Yes.
Or actually, you'd probably say it's your nadir.
Yeah, true.
Where's the wah 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 on here?
Oh,
it's been a while. There you go. There you go, Holden. You get a wah wah wah. Anything else to say non-spoiler wise before we say who's this for, review, whatnot?
I don't think so. Not necessarily. I've got a decent amount to say for spoilers, but I'll just obviously hold off on that. So.
Yeah. Who's this movie for again? Diehard movie fan or diehard horror?
Diehard movie fan.
Diehard
like
horror
movies.
movie fan. If you're like, I gotta see all the Exorcist movies, gotta complete my Infinity Stone collection of the Exorcist movies. Here you go. Otherwise, well, I don't think this is gonna push the needle for anybody. Go watch Talk to Me.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the Exorcist sequels, so I can't compare this to those. But this is probably like a 4 out of 10 for me, I'd say.
Yeah.
Just
even something like
it.
the Conjuring.
Yeah,
There's a possession in that's
way
more
better.
interesting.
Yeah,
So I'll watch that one.
I don't. Yeah, I don't understand. How
There's
they're gonna
in a
get trilogy out of
time where
this.
we have so many good horror movies you can watch. I would recommend any of them over this one.
Agreed.
So there we go. That's our non-spoiler review. We're going to dive into spoilers for Exorcist Believer right after this.
All right, spoilers for Exorcist Believer.
You must choose.
You must choose. Well, okay, so the movie starts out in Haiti.
That's right. I forgot about that. I forgot about that part of the movie. There's the earthquake.
Yeah.
Do you like the kind of pseudo jump scare of the dogs barking in the first shot?
Okay,
I was like, that's cheap.
That's weirdly enough, the dogs are like one of the only things that I think carry over from the first movie. Because there's a shot like that in the first movie, not used as a jump scare, mind you. But I remember seeing that in the trailer for this movie, and it stood out to me. I'm like, why is that there? That's just really a stupid shot. But I think it's because it's just a visual motif from the first one. Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
But I like dogs.
I like dogs. Yes. There you go. Good job, Holden.
But yeah, so the mom dies and the kid lives.
Who could have imagined?
Who could have imagined?
You know what was a good twist though? Him choosing his wife. That was actually a good twist, I think. And I think that it adds to it.
I think the twist is fine, but at the same time I'm like, well then how is the daughter alive?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm like, if it's true that he chose the wife and the doctor was like, you can choose one, the other will die, then why did he choose the wife and the daughter's alive? It doesn't
I
really
guess.
explain, like, even like a throwaway line where he's like, or he could have been like, oh, the procedure didn't go to plan, or
I thought there was something like that. It's been several
know.
days
It
since we've
has
seen
been.
this. By the
I
time
could
we're
be wrong.
recording this, I thought there. That thought didn't go through my head. Maybe it's just because I'm dumb, but for whatever reason that
Maybe.
clicked for me.
Maybe.
I thought that was interesting. I thought that was compelling. Again, Leslie Odom Jr.'s character was by far the best part of this movie for me, and it really wasn't close. What's her name? Who's always just the evil
Ann Dowd,
who's just always just like pulling people into Satanism or the cult.
She's always the evil religious lady, and like The Leftovers or Handmaid's Tale,
Hereditary.
Hereditary.
She flips sides. She flips sides. She did the
She's actually
the
good.
Hans Landa to what's his name in Django Unchained. Christoph Waltz. Yeah, I forget what's his character. What's the dentist's name in Django?
I can't remember.
I don't know, but he going from like the most vile character to like this most wholesome, nice character.
Yeah. But no, she's great. I mean, I think she's a very good character actor for those evil religious types, but she's very good in this as a good religious type. So
Yeah.
What else? The kids go missing. That was the part that I mentioned. I was like, this is a bit more unique because the kids are just gone for an extended period of time in this movie. I was like, you always expect them to just kind of show up later that night and look all disheveled or something, but they're gone for like 3 days or something like that. I can't remember what he says.
Do they? What was I going to say? Do they show the possession in the first one right away, or is it kind of held off for later, like this one was?
It's held off for later. Yeah, it's held off for later.
Okay, so it's not
Second
like
half
you
of the
see
movie,
it
probably.
immediately when it happens. And
Yeah.
you cut away. It's not that. So just like this, so it's like, oh, they go to do this thing, cuts away. Where are these girls been? And it's a while before we see them again.
I think I prefer how they do it in the first one, just because the first one they don't even really give like a reason or like for her being possessed. Like she kind of plays like there's a throwaway kind of bit where she found like a Ouija board and played with it a bit, almost like off screen. But you don't really give like a sure reason as to how she got possessed. And I think it's just kind of interesting that it's just kind of it seems like a random occurrence. But in this movie, you don't see it. It's just they do a creepy thing and then they show up in a barn 3 days later.
How did we get in this barn?
Yeah. They're shivering and cold.
The body and the blood. The body and the blood. Eepaw. I could not think of
That's
Eepaw.
true. Yeah, when she's in the church.
Dude, she's looking gross. You gotta like give the girl a shower before you take her to church or something.
She just looks like the most disheveled like little girl, just clearly not okay.
Yeah. Got into the communion wine a little bit.
Yeah, which made it kind of look like blood on her dress, kind of not really. What
I
else?
think that's when the movie starts just falling. Well, the movie is bad when they bring in legacy character. What's her name?
Yeah, Chris McNeil.
Unbelievably.
Cannot-
What a just useless character.
There was a line that she says that I laughed at, and I was happy to see be justified because everyone's been clowning on it online, where she says that this isn't the exact line, but she says the only reason I wasn't there for the first Exorcist was because of the damn patriarchy. Or something like that. It was very silly. And which is just not true, because the reason why she wasn't in she didn't even try to get into the room in the first one because it was clearly very dangerous, and also she was not an exorcist. So it was just a stupid line, but yeah, people are clowning on that online. Very funny.
She had a lot of really bad lines, and I feel bad because she doesn't have much to work with, but her performance is not.
She's phoning
great.
it in. She does not care about this movie.
It is it would work really well in a satire. Let me just put it that way.
From what I understand, she the only reason she's in this movie is because she asked for a ton of money and she donated it to a charity or something.
Well, good on her then.
So Yeah, she did not care about being in this movie at all.
It is just the most like cardboard cutout acting I've ever seen.
Which is weird. She's a great actress. I've seen her. I mean, she's good in the first Exorcist movie and like Requiem for a Dream.
It's
and
like
stuff,
over serious.
Yeah,
It's like, this is the most serious exorcism thing you've ever heard in your life.
and I didn't. There's also a line that they use in the trailer where she like sees the possessed kid for the first time and she's like, "Oh, we've met," but like. We don't like. It's never clear if it's the same ghost from the first movie. Or
I think she says that in the movie, something like that, or it knew who I was, or whatever she says.
Yeah, she says that in the movie. But yeah, there's no indication. Like I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, the demon's name is Pazuzu, which is a very silly name. But I'm not. I can't remember if they even say that name in the original movie or if that's like a sequel thing they establish.
Hello, Pazuzu.
But yeah, it's this movie they never establish it's like the same demon because like they one of them vaguely says something about the daughter from the first movie, but also they're demons who just kind of know everything, so it could just be them messing with. I don't know. It's very weird.
She gets her eyes stabbed out.
She does.
Hilarious.
It was kind of funny.
I was like, oh my gosh, they just did this to a legacy character. Is that not just disrespectful to the first movie?
I'm not going to say anything, but you should watch the Netflix Texas Chainsaw movie.
Okay.
Which people hate. I like a lot more than this movie.
Okay.
I won't clarify,
All
but
right. I want to see that movie. I forgot about it, but we should watch it together sometime.
We should. What else?
She sees her daughter at the end.
Yep. Which is played by the
Worthless.
same actress, but yeah, worthless.
I do not
cares?
care.
I don't know. They do the whole thing that so many of these movies do where like the mom is estranged now from the daughter, but it wasn't like not convincing in this movie at all because like I think why it works in Halloween is because the daughter was not a character in the original Halloween. And then it's like, oh, we see like, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis had grown up very paranoid and everything. And so there's a lot of stuff there. But and like the original Exorcist movie, like she's so like concerned for the daughter and the daughter's well-being is like her big priority the entire movie. And
she
then
seems to be well adjusted in this movie.
Yeah. And so for some reason, like there is a conflict that was not very well explained and didn't make much sense.
She like made money off the story by writing a book?
Yeah, which to me is not in line with her character in the first movie at all. Like she is an actress in the first movie, but yeah, it wouldn't make sense to me that she would like try to profit off of that whole experience. And also, if I recall correctly, I don't think the daughter even like remembers like being possessed at the end of the first movie. So it's also kind of like, it's like, oh, at the same time, I'm like, why does she care if she doesn't remember? Why would the mom bring it up again if like, you know, you just want to forget about it? It doesn't make much sense to me.
I don't know. I don't really care. Hilarious that she got her eyes stabbed out.
It was very funny.
Okay, well, we should talk about the other kind of twist, I guess, at the end. They're like, you must choose one girl or whatever. And that's just clearly a trap. Don't do that. And everybody's like, well, not going to do that. And then they don't. And then the dad's like, I choose you, Pikachu. I choose you.
That
daughter.
dad was a terrible actor or terrible performance at least.
Terrible. Yeah. Yes. Very like the stereotypical like hypocritical Christian dad in media or whatever. It's like, oh, I go to church every Sunday, so I'm a good person. Then he's actually a terrible person that doesn't really follow the tenets of the faith.
Also, him choosing his daughter in that moment is so like it's so obvious because other characters in other media that are like built this way where they're just like hysterical and as you said, hypocritical, like it's so obvious he's just going to blurt out his daughter's name because the other characters are more reserved and not.
They're like, no, what have you done?
And then they killed his daughter anyway.
Yeah. Poor daughter. What did she do?
Yeah. I think one of my other problems with this movie, I maybe should have expressed in non-spoilers, was I just feel like that second daughter is like not a character like at all.
No,
really,
she doesn't really have any personality.
Yeah, we don't really know much about her. Like we know
They're
more
like,
about
she's
her
a
family.
good Christian girl.
Yeah, we know more about her family than we know about her, and I think it would have been more interesting and more impactful of that death if we actually knew more about her. But instead,
they're not killing out the main girl.
Yeah, like if they did, that would be pretty wild. But yeah,
and then so the other girl just dies.
Yeah, and seems to be permanently dead.
Yeah, very permanently dead.
Yeah. Oh, I did think I did laugh at I don't think I laughed in the theater because I wanted to be respectful to the people that might be enjoying it, but I wanted to laugh at the priest dying.
Oh, that was hilarious. That was so funny. Did we not laugh at that?
I'm pretty sure we did.
I'm pretty sure we laughed.
Okay,
we might have
just
we might have done one of those under our breath. That was so funny. I turned to you and I'm like, that guy's dead.
Yeah, you did.
I did. I was like,
call that.
He's like, or whatever. Who's the one who comes out and they're like, the real fight's in there? Who says that?
I think that was the dad. I think that was the main dad. Leslie Odom Jr. goes out and is like, the fight isn't there.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
The real fight's in there.
It is a very silly climax. It's just people. Another thing that I think just is so much worse in this movie is in the first movie, there's like a clear plan. There's a clear like routine, or I guess, what do you call it? Tradition. I don't know.
Exorcism procedure.
Ritual, I guess is what I'm thinking. But yeah, there's a clear thing that they're going through, and yeah, there's interruptions, there's bad things that happen, but through it all, they're like trying to adhere to it. And this movie, they're just doing whatever they can think of. It feels like there is no plan at all. Yeah.
Open sesame.
Yeah. It feels so unorganized. And by the end, when it's solved, it's like, well, I don't really feel like anything was accomplished.
Yeah.
It's just
really one silly. Of you messed up.
Yeah.
That's how it ended, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I choose this daughter. Oh, she's dead.
And then does the demon just leave then? Like the daughter dies and then it's over?
It's just done.
Yeah. So the exorcism itself really didn't matter.
I don't remember. I'm already forgetting this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. I didn't like it, but I guess for the end here.
Better than Halloween Ends.
Better than Halloween Ends.
What's his name?
David Gordon Green.
Better than Halloween Ends.
How are they going to make a trilogy out of this?
They're not.
You don't think so?
No. This movie cannot be doing very well, is it?
It's not doing horrible. 85 million.
It has 85 million? Apparently. Are you kidding me? Wow, that is way more than I would have thought.
That is way more than Saw X.
I was going to say.
Granted, Saw X has half the budget. Oh, wait, yeah. Saw X is 71 million? Okay, that's not awful. 72.
All right. But I mean, Saw X has been out for a few weeks now.
But with half the budget, and yeah, I don't know.
I think the thing with Saw X, though, is I think Saw 11, now that it's like, okay, Saw X was good, now there's Saw 11.
Saw 11 might actually, there'd be more of a momentum.
I came out of I mean, granted, we're huge Saw fanboys.
Saw heads.
Yeah. But I feel like there's more momentum coming out of Saw X, and people are reinvigorated with the franchise, whereas people are like, I did not like The Exorcist Believer. I don't want this.
Yeah, so it is definitely going to be diminishing returns, because people that went in wanting to like it, excited for a new Exorcist movie, are going to probably have been burned. Mm-hmm. I don't really. Yeah, there's not very many people I've seen that have liked this movie. I'm not sure if there's been anyone I've seen online that have liked this.
Whereas
movie.
You look at Saw X and people are like,
yeah,
this is one of the best Saw movies ever, and even critics are enjoying it, and I think eventually word of mouth will help it out.
Honestly, we're probably two of the more positive people on this movie. Even me.
Apparently, I am.
Even me. I feel like most people would like say this is like the worst movie of the year. There's a lot of people I've seen say that. Yeah.
Huh.
What
would be my worst movie of the year so far? Nothing.
No Halloween Ends jumps out. Or
last year,
Disney Pinocchio.
Last year was just holy smokes.
Bottom 10 was a lot easier to do last year.
I don't do bottom worst movies of the year, and I did one last year just because I was like, Halloween Ends pushed me over the edge. Okay. That's enough about The Exorcist Believer, I think.
I think so.
Let's go on to our final segment of the show, which, of course, Holden, is What Are You Doing?
What are you doing? What are you doing? No, what are you doing? What are you doing? No, what are you doing? What are you doing?
All right, Jimmy, this week. I don't think I watched too many movies. I did, like I said, I rewatched The Exorcist 1, which I quite enjoyed. I did it literally like hours before we went and saw this movie, so had it fresh on the mind for watching Exorcist Believer. Other than that, I finished, I don't even remember if I had started by last week, the new Castlevania animated show on Netflix. It was very good. I finished it, quite liked it. Got renewed for season 2, so very excited for that. And I'm starting, I think I'm going to rewatch, even though I just did it like a year and a half ago, I'm going to rewatch The Venture Brothers because the finale movie for that just came out, and I do not remember where that ended up. So I think I might just rewatch that, maybe alongside Invincible, just do a couple rewatches. We'll see. But other than that, video game wise, I finished Alan Wake.
Nice.
Very good.
Remastered, right?
Remastered. Very good. I forgot that there's 2 DLC chapters, and the second one is really good. The first one's good, but the second one's a standout. Really liked it. And then I started and already platinumed TOEM, which is this indie game that was on PlayStation Plus a few months ago. I chose that because I had heard it was good and I knew it wasn't very long. I was like, Spider-Man or the Mario game, whatever I get, is coming out this week. So just something a little low commitment. And it's this little adventure game where it's like isometric and you play as this little it's all black and white, this little guy, and you're going on this adventure and there's no combat. It's all like photos. You're taking photos of things. You're solving people's problems. Has a very fun sense of humor, very good art style, very good music. Very like lo-fi music. But I really liked it. It was a very easy platinum. If you have it on PlayStation Plus and you just like cute little indie games, I'd recommend it. But yeah, then I'll probably get Mario or Spider-Man this week. I haven't quite decided which one yet because they both look great. So we'll see.
Yeah, I was going to say we could have talked about the reviews for Spider-Man 2 being quite positive.
Yeah. Very positive.
Especially with the story, which is what I'm like, yes, people are saying the story is really, really good. So that's what gets me most excited.
I've seen clips of like the fast travel is like instantaneous. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Or like, I love the when they transition from Peter to Miles.
Yeah.
They're like going across the city and it's just so seamless and beautiful. And the animations of that and all those little things that Insomniac does and how they crank out such high quality games consistently is beyond amazing.
We'll have Wolverine out next year, a new Ratchet and Clank the year after that.
That's insane.
I don't know.
It's insane.
We'll see.
But yeah, I really am looking forward to that as well. Anything else you did this week?
No, I think that's about it. What about you, Jimmy?
I played a little bit of Horizon Forbidden West. I decided I'm just, for now, just going to finish up the main side quests and then finish up the main story, I think. Sure. So, like, that's kind of my idea. I was originally planning on going for the platinum for it. I'm fairly close. I just am like, okay, Spider-Man comes out.
And it's coming out.
And I was hoping to replay Miles Morales beforehand, but I don't know. I'm kind of just eager to just dive in and play the new one. Although, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know what I'm going to do, Holden.
Well, let me know what you decide, because if you decide not to get Spider-Man right away, I might get the Mario game.
I think I'll get Spider-Man right away.
Okay.
That's what I'm leaning towards. I'll make time for Spider-Man, like I made time for God of War Ragnarok. So I'm excited about playing Spider-Man 2 eventually. And then I did watch most of it. I've got like 15 minutes of it left, but I've watched the David Beckham documentary on Netflix, which I thought was quite interesting. And I'm like, I liked it because it was like very informal documentary at times. Like they kind of showed a lot of the people making it or like sitting down and setting up for the interviews. They got all the big names for these interviews. So this will mean nothing to you, Holden, but they got like...
I didn't know who David Beckham was until 3 weeks ago.
Okay, well. they got like Alex Ferguson.
Wow.
And Gary Neville and all these people, Ronaldo, not Cristiano Ronaldo, Ronaldo before Ronaldo, who's from Brazil.
Oh yeah, I know both of those.
Do you not know who Cristiano Ronaldo is? You do not know who Cristiano Ronaldo
think so.
is? Oh my gosh, hold on. Are you serious right now?
I don't know.
You do not know who Cristiano Ronaldo is.
I mean, the name sounds vaguely familiar, but
he is literally. Do you know who Lionel Messi is?
Yeah.
Okay. Those two people are arguably the most famous people on the planet.
Most famous people on the planet?
Yes.
Okay, well.
I am not joking. Hold on.
All right. Well, I live under a rock.
This is now the new Nader of your podcast, and that's incredible to me.
Remember when I didn't know who Serena Williams was?
Yeah, not knowing Cristiano Ronaldo is somehow more impressive, because Serena Williams is also a very household name. Wow. Well, I flabbergasted now, but I'll continue on. The David Beckham documentary on Netflix is really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And here's what I was gonna say: very informal documentary style. So like the person like interviewing him, I'm like, his voice sounds so familiar. And then they like was like very like, okay, the guy's coming in for the interview. It's literally shot like down the hall where it's like, oh hey, nice to meet you and stuff. Like this guy sounds like Hugo from Succession. And it is.
Oh, nice.
He's like a documentary filmmaker, and I looked him up.
I did know that.
And he directed The Cove, that one dolphin documentary from like 2009.
Yeah. I went on, I think when Succession first finished, I kind of went on that deep, like rabbit hole reading that, he's a documentary filmmaker who just acts sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, he's got a very distinct voice too. I'm like, so I looked it up, and sure enough, yeah, that's him. It's like Fisher Stevens or something. It's his name. So yeah, no, I would highly recommend it if you are even remotely interested in David Beckham or soccer, because I found it highly entertaining. And yeah, just fascinating. Especially it's like I knew of David Beckham when I was younger. I remember him coming to the LA Galaxy, and I knew, not growing up in England or anything, growing up in the United States, you don't really have that bank of knowledge of soccer history. Mm-hmm. And so kind of learning these things, it's very akin to, I wouldn't say it's as good as, it's very akin to like The Last Dance as Michael Jordan's documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like that. It's not as good as The Last Dance, which is just a phenomenal documentary, but it is like, not having grown up in that Michael Jordan era, it was fun to go and understand the perspective of what was happening.
I do know who Michael Jordan is.
That's good, Holden. Wow, I cannot believe that. Interesting. So that's where I'm at here. Oh, also just watching more of The Killing Vote. Incredible. So good. People need to watch this show. Catch up before it ends, because it is amazing. So far, the 7th episode has been the best episode.
Nice.
So,
is that the most recent one?
It is. They're on the 8th one.
Okay.
So 7 was incredible. You need to watch this show. You can thank me later. That's all I got, Holden. So what's going on?
Next week, we will be doing Killers of the Flower Moon alongside Loki Season 2, Episode 3 and Gen V Episode 6.
Action-packed episode next week.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm excited for next week's episode.
I am too, for once.
I'm
just kidding.
I mean, more so than this week with Exorcist, but if you want to leave us a request, you can do so by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes or email us at tompodcast@gmail.com or donate to our Patreon. I believe that's it.
Yeah, what did you think about anything that we reviewed this week? Let us know in the comments on YouTube. We'll check those out. And in the meantime, adios, pantalones.
Love you.